What's good, everyone? Good morning. It is bright and early right now for me, and it's 8 in the morning, and I've already been up for like 2.5 hours. So, just been busy, but decided, friend of mine that I was talking to yesterday regarding Tekken 8. He pretty much gave me the idea of creating an own tier list. So we were just talking like tiers, potential tiers and stuff like that. And I figured, you know what, why not? It's probably a good idea to talk about tiers, at least seeing the state of certain characters of where they're at now. I do understand a lot of this is subject to change still. This is the beta. So a couple of factors to include before we get into it is one, it is a beta, so a lot of frames, properties, and such is subject to change. Another thing too that we have to also take into account is a lot of people, especially for new characters, excuse me, and just new features in general, a lot of people weren't really taking in the full potential of these characters, right? Not saying that I was or anything like that. There's a lot that we're still learning. So it's hard to judge a lot of these characters based off from what we've only seen, right? Maybe from pro players, maybe from our own experience and such, but overall still pretty hard to judge where a lot of these characters stand at right now. So this is really just take this tier list with a grain of salt. This is my experience. I got to enjoy the beta playing King, Azucena, and Jin, and I did play just a tiny bit of Kazuya, but not enough to really have a lot of information on, right? So we're gonna just start there, and what we're actually gonna just do is we're gonna go ahead and take another sip of this coffee real quick first. And I'm gonna go ahead and let me actually move myself over here. Yeah, that's better. You guys can see everything. I could just move Lily, can I? Okay. Actually, yeah, I'll leave myself right here in this corner. And I'm gonna start by putting all the characters that we don't have access to down here because we didn't get to play any of the bears. Leo wasn't available. Yoshimitsu wasn't available. Wasn't Shaheen. I don't think was Steve in the beta. Actually, now that I think about it, I actually don't remember seeing anyone play Steve. I don't think he was. I could be wrong, but I just don't actually remember looking for Steve. Um, we don't have Dragonov. I wish we did. Yeah, and I think that's everyone we do have in the beta. Yeah. Hmm. So, starting off with Jack, or even before I even get put characters into placements, the way I'm judging these tiers are gonna be S tier is like super crazy, like these properties are insane, like it might be need to be toned down a little bit, or like holy cow, not to be confused with a lack of understanding. What I'm not gonna do is put Azucena in S tier because I can't hit her. She's going crazy. The dodge mechanic is insane. Two gimmick. No, that's not what we're doing, right? So this is basically here on just stats and just and not just stats, but more just characteristic properties, what the character has in general. Might have to lower my microphone just a little bit. Starting off with Jack, I'm gonna put him here in the B tier because I feel like, again, not a lot of people were using him to his full ability. So I never really got to see what he is really capable of on my end. I only got to see Jack in the closed network test. So again, I don't even know if that's going to count towards anything. And I'm being very, very picky. Let's just be quite frank here. I'm being just a little bit picky right now. But I feel like Jack has a lot of potential for sure. The new features he has are great, and It is interesting to fight against a good Jack player, but unfortunately, I only ran into one. So I couldn't tell you as far as how great of a character Jack is, at least in the beta. Although he has potential, I think he's fun. We just don't have enough information. Jin. Oh, where do I start with Jin? God, I'm just putting him here. He is insane right now. Of all the different heat engagers he has, the mind games he could play with, the mid games, down 2. Where do I start with down 2? Holy cow, that move is crazy. Counter hitting properties, high crush. Really weird to see. However, I feel like over time people are going to be able to recognize that move and low parry it. So I'm not too sure where that move is going to go starting from now. I don't know if it's going to get buffed or nerfed. I could see it getting nerfed. His forward pickup is so incredibly busted. It's so much easier just to sit there with forward 4 and pop real quick. Just stand there at bay, boom, forward 4 counter hit. We basically have like season 1 or 2 Tekken 4 Jin, or excuse me, Tekken 7 Jin right now at that forward 4. I would like to see forward 4 go back to the way it was as of right now in Tekken 7. Where we need commitment, where if you just stand there and get a forward 4 counter hit, you can't just run up to your opponent and just not even just a while standing 4 pickup, a full back 3 conversion, mind you. So you can get that in Tekken 8 now by just standing and doing forward 4. It's super easy. I would like that to get put back here to the way it was in Tekken 7. And I could keep going with Jin. For the sake of time, I'm going to say right now, Jin has a lot of powerful abilities, and he's up there for sure. He is up there for sure. Jun. Not enough information in my head, but putting her here, I'm gonna say high A. Like, she is threading the needle on S, but I'm only gonna say A because of the fact that, one, her animations look crazy. So until my eyes get adjusted to her animation, she's kind of crazy to read right now. Also take into account that not a lot of people are familiar with her, so it's gonna be a little crazy stuff to even deal with her in the beginning. So super powerful though, to not like to say the least, right? She's not necessarily a problem in my opinion, but she's a really, really great character overall. I do need to play her myself, but going up against her, it's heavy. It's heavy. So Kazuya, I mean, Kazuya has always been super high damage, execution buff, and with his new conversions and stances and stuff like that, I mean, he's even more versatile than he was before. A lot of moves that they took out in Tekken 7 that feel more useful now in Tekken 8. For an example, forward 4-2. Forward 4-2 was a high in Tekken 7, and I had no reason to use that move. Why am I going to use that move in the neutral? I have instant while standing 4, wave dash while standing 4, electric, for, you know, you get my point. So 4-4-2 in Tekken 7 made no sense. So putting that into a mid in Tekken 8 just makes sense. It's on the equal playing field now. I have more of a reason to use it. Still capable of really high damage in general, and it's a heat engager. You know, enough said. You know, 50-50, you know, mix up God over here. And put him in the right hands, he's gonna be scary. That's easily enough. Okay, so I'm gonna leave him in S tier. However, I want to say he's backed by a really crazy execution barrier, but so is Jin. I'm gonna leave him there. King. high. I'm gonna put him in high A tier. Super fun. He basically has a decent 50-50s now. Like, you know, there's just some moves you have to duck. For an example, and during, I think it's called his Jaguar Rush, I do appreciate the fact that even though that move is unbreakable, it gives me a reason to go for throws. You know, counter hit throws has been a huge game changer as well. Being able to even land regular generic throws, like, all right, like, I need y'all to like tell me when was the last time you guys have landed a regular throw in high ranked. I can't remember. It's either extremely off guard or it's something that happened within the animation or within a move that my throw sometimes just lands. It is very rare. But in Tekken 8 with counter hit throws, a lot of the King's grab game is a lot more scarier. Because now, instead of you just, oh, I need to know the break, now it's a matter of I need to press my buttons right, because if I throw out a hit at the wrong time, I'm gonna get counter hit throw. You do not want King in during his heat element getting a counter hit giant swing. And gosh forbid you don't tech the giant swing or there's a wall behind you and you got counter hit throwed. It's a bad time. Counter hit throw tombstone. Ah. Like, and then his heat engagers. Yo, like he's ill right now. I want to say he's high A. However, it all depends on the player and the placement. And if you have someone who understands the King game, you might have to start getting really creative with King for sure. Lars, not enough information. He seems cool. He seems fun. That's really all I have. I don't play enough Lars or know enough people who play Lars to be able to actually give a proper guess as far as where he's at right now. Law is gonna be, makes sense to put him here. The fact that they changed his new stance to make it so much easier now. I don't know why they decided to do such a thing, but I don't know. It just, there's a lot of things you could do now that is a lot easier. Just borderline spammy. I'm being very careful of how I say that. But there are just some things that I feel, I just wish they went back to his stance the way it was in Tekken 7. Definitely rewarded a more of a player that had a high execution range. So being able to go into his stance a lot easier. Just, I have seen some annoying, and not even like impressive, like just annoying pressure from Law. Really, again, goes to show like rewarding spam, like button spamming with Law, you know. So, but again, I'm saying that carefully because you can't do that with every character in Tekken 8. You can't. So you won't be able to win. And Tekken 8 is still not the kind of game where it's rewarding people who spam buttons. It's definitely not that kind of game. Paul is, I mean, he's just as good as he was in Tekken 7. He has some new things now in Tekken 8, and his damage is still gonna be insane. So I'm gonna leave him an A. I think we already know everything that there is to know about Paul. Nothing new to report from Paul. Nina, yeah, makes sense for B tier because again, super fun to play against, only because I have character knowledge against her. I would imagine for people who don't have character knowledge against her, people are gonna be like, what do you mean she's high A? Her pistols do insane chip damage, you know? I would say just don't play a range game with her then if you don't want to get shot up in Tekken 7. So I just stuck really close and personal to her, and I didn't really give her a chance to go crazy with that. And I didn't really have a lot of issues with Nina here. So moving on to Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu is an interesting one. Um, I'm tempted to put her pretty much here. With her heat engagers, her mid games, her stance switch ups, and everything. Even for someone like me who has a good knowledge base against Xiaoyu of what to do and what not to do with Xiaoyu, she is an issue. An issue. So, yeah, she has a lot of mix-ups, man, that just make the whole heat engager game and the wall game just so scary. So scary, to say the least. So, but again, if you negate a lot of her options and you're a careful player, a disciplined player, you could come out victorious for sure. Moving on to Asuka. Like, fun to play against, I'm sure fun to play with. Not a lot of information, again, gathered in the beta to really determine, but I feel like, you know, she can be a problem depending on the player. So, other than that, I mean, there's a lot of things that they have changed with her that make her still scary. Her mid-game, her mix-ups, her strings are still scary. So, she's definitely up there. I mean, do I want to put her at A? Maybe. You know, if I was being, I guess a little, what's the word that I'm looking for? If I was giving her a little bit more credit, but just making sure, giving myself the benefit of the doubt, I want to keep her here. Or maybe she's high B. Only because I really want to put her in A tier. I really do. But I don't have a lot of information on the beta to make a good determination of how she is. Leroy, this is a funny one. This is a funny one. I'm putting him here. He was really underwhelming in the beta. I don't know if I want to call for buffs. I don't know, but I just felt like I was able to play around everything that he has now, and I don't know if it was because of the power creep in Tekken 7 that just completely ruined how he plays now. I'm not saying he plays bad, but the game plan still is so simple, and you know, it feels like I'm playing the same Leroy, to be honest. So I mean, yeah, he still has his health sweeps. He still has, you know, really a strong just neutral game in general. But is he a problem? No, he's not a problem. Very underwhelming, unfortunately. Lily. I mean, I'm gonna put her at A. Insane movement. She has some really interesting new stuff out of her back turns and her sways, I believe, and stuff like that. Really tricky to go up against, although really fun too. I mean, she still is going to be a really powerful character. So, keeping it brief for Lily. Horong. Yeah. He's still crazy. Still crazy right now. But playing a patient game with Horong. And I want to make it clear too, I'm not going into specifics. I'm trying to go into specifics with these characters on why I'm putting them in here and stuff. I know a lot of the times I'm not going into depth because I think a lot of the reason is because it's already stuff that we know, as far as like we know why Horong is right there next to Jun and King and below Jin and Kazuya. Like, with the heat engagers and everything too, man, he can be an insane problem. So for players who are not aware, is he going to be an insane problem for pro players and for intermediate players and high ranked players? Oh yeah, sure, you know, but he always has been, you know. You could be playing the game for 10 or 15 years and you know, I don't think anyone can still know how to properly defend against Horong, against a good Horong player, right? Claudio is up there. He is up there. I'm actually there, right? I feel like he's even higher up there with Kazuya than what he is with Jin. Like, it's still a lot of the problematic moves that he has in Tekken 7, like back back, what is it, back one? The homing move, the safe mid, lunge in, swayed back, wall splatting mid. That's still a problem, and he's just cracked right now in Tekken 8. I don't know where he's gonna keep going with upon release, if we're gonna get any more betas, but as of right now, that my dude is cracked right now in Tekken 8. Raven is an interesting one again, because I feel like he's been toned down. Like he's been pretty toned down compared to Master Raven in Tekken 7. One key thing I've noticed is like his back turn mix up, to where, you know, in Tekken 7 and Master Raven, you can do the sway back where she swipes you back turn on your legs and it's a launch, or she can mix it with a mid. In Tekken 8, the low doesn't launch anymore, at least on normal hit, and he still has the mid, right? The Shadow Clone Heat Burst, or whatever it is, or his special properties is oppressive to say the least. It's very, very aggressive. The chip damage is insane. However, it always comes out of a down forward one, to my understanding. You know, it is recognizable once you get used to it. So all you have to do is block, get your health back, and shut down his heat. And yeah, just playing patient against him has been a little bit rewarding on my end. Arasu Senna is an interesting one. So I've seen a lot of issues to where people saying she's cheap, she's overpowered, she's too gimmicky, reward spamming people, or people who like to press a lot of buttons. And I'm here to say, man, that's not true. That is not true. Not 1 second. As a matter of fact, she's a lot more vulnerable than what you would think. Why is that? So I spent a lot of time playing with Azucena in the beta, and in her Liberador stance, or Liberator stance in English, she is very, very vulnerable to mids. Against a good player will know to use mids to negate a lot of her stuff if she gets a hit on block, right? So if she's minus and she still goes into stance, you play a mid game with her. Excuse me. But play the mid game with her and you will find success. She does have a power crush that's a high. However, it's a high, right? So just be wary of that. But as long as you play the mid game and you avoid highs and lows, she's not that much of a problem. And as well, lackluster lows. She barely got lows. There's not really any scary reason to duck her when she's not in stance. And even when she is in stance, not that crazy much of lows. You're not talking like a snake edge or yeah, you're not talking a snake edge. You're not talking a hatchet kick. And even that one move that's a throw where she lays on the ground and grabs your ankle, super reactable over time. Players will be able to recognize that easily over time. So I don't see where she's overpowered. I can't. So with that being said, I'm gonna put her here. Yeah. Because once you learn how she operates, you could shut her down, and that's when you have to get really creative as an Azucena player. And I do enjoy that. You have to put yourself out there. You have to go into the stance manually sometimes. You have to know your punishes to go into the stance. That's gonna take time, right? But there's a huge reward in when you start to play those mind games with your opponent. She's meant to, like, that's like, and I think it displays even with her energy, right? Like on hit, her 1/1 10 frame punish goes into stance. She gets the hit, she clap her hands and she's like, do something, you know? Like, you have to put yourself out there with her. Yeah, I'm gonna say she's B, because if you shut down a lot of her oppressive stuff, and then you on top of that you mix that with no lows, you know, she doesn't really have a crazy neutral game, to be honest. So she's not that much of a problem. Lastly, this dude is still a problem. He's still a problem. I am shocked to see that he still has safe mid launches, like safe normal hit mid launches. That sway move he has in the back, to where it's just, if that catches you and that's a full counter hit, that's a full combo. Crazy. That is crazy. Unsealable lows too, that give a huge benefits too. Like, he was already a problem as of today, as of when I'm recording this video. As of today, he's still a problem in Tekken 7. And now I feel like he's even more of a problem in Tekken 8. And I could probably make a whole video as to why, but I mean, let's just start with some of the simple stuff. We got back one, had a great panic move, high crushing lows, a good amount of them, some of them leaving with counter hit properties, leaving you in a bad situation. Scary mid game. The only thing I didn't see was the parries that he has in Tekken 7. I did not see those, so I don't know if they're there or not. He has some interesting string mix-ups now that he didn't have before. So I couldn't negate some of the neutral options that a lot of Fang players go for. Now I have to be more careful now. And overall, his aggressiveness and his plus frames are just insane. Just insane. You know, he's still an issue in my opinion. I would like to see him toned down, but I don't know how much my opinion is really valid besides from what I've experienced. But from what I have experienced, Fang is still an issue. He's always an issue in Tekken 7, still an issue in Tekken 8. But it looks like that's it. We got all of the characters here in Tekken 8 that we are able to play with. At least other characters that have been revealed, we have no idea how they're going to be as far as the D list. So D tier is just characters we don't know. But that is my tier list. Again, take it with a grain of salt. This is just my opinion. I would love to hear your feedback, and as well, maybe from professional players. If you guys happen to see this, I would love to just talk and just really discuss even more about how we feel at the current state of Tekken 8. Understanding that we are in beta phases. This is where we're at as far as characters go in Tekken. So other than that, I appreciate y'all sticking around and listening to this tier list video. Stay tuned for some more Tekken 8 content. I plan to upload some more Tekken 8 fights and stuff like that. And then as well, I will be talking about more of the overall state of Tekken in the next video. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, take care and y'all be safe.